Hey everybody, today I wanted to walk through a new song by Companyon called Missing You a Lot, and I think some of these tips and tricks can be really helpful if you're trying to make that moody, emotional bedroom pop type sound. We're gonna jump through a few of the instruments and also some of the vocal production. So if you're digging any of the things that I'm sharing on this channel, please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below if there are things that maybe I miss in this video as I'm going through the production. But with that, let's dive in.
These hours, they feel like days, and all I want is just a little more, just a little more time.
So in order to set the mood, I think the piano is a great way to start. Brian actually had this piano at his house that was very weird, very wonky, and I think that's the beauty of these types of tracks. You end up embracing imperfection, and that's what creates the character. Even the recording of this piano, there's a lot of background noise that we left in because we didn't want it to be this pristine studio recording. We wanted it to capture kind of the emotion through the recording itself. We actually used one close mic and one far mic and used that as a stereo instead of a classic stereo pair. And I think this creates a really, really nice texture between the left and the right channel. The closeness is obviously going to get the body of the piano, but the far mic has a lot of the nice room sound and noises and creaking from the house that we were recording in. So outside of embracing the weirdness of the piano recording, we ended up pitching certain elements up an octave with the warping feature on for beats, which you can see down here in the lower left corner. Pretty much the standard setting when you switch over to beats in the warping feature on Ableton. And this creates a warbly tape sound. It breaks up the audio file without having to use any additional effects. It's a really, really cool thing that I've been doing in a whole bunch of productions. And that works really, really well because we also have a Juno that is playing supporting chords, and on those pitched up moments for the piano, the Juno kind of takes care of that mid-range. And I think that in your production, you want to think about where elements fit frequency-wise. If the piano was always just staying in the mid-range and we also had the Juno, then the Juno wouldn't be able to stick out the way that it does. So the interesting thing about this track is that we actually recorded it at a higher pitch, I think probably 2 whole steps up, and we also recorded it at a slower tempo. So Brian's vocal ends up having this kind of chopped up element.
These hours, they feel like days, and all I want is just a little more.
So you can hear how the vocal is cutting right to the word. You're not getting every part of the word, but you can still somewhat understand it. It creates a really, really nice mood for this style of track. So we got our piano and our vocal, which are the elements that are going to drive the song. I think a big thing that you can focus on in your own production is just focusing on one instrument that really sets a mood and record your vocals right to that. Don't get too overwhelmed with the production process because no matter what era we're in, everybody goes back to a song being really great if it can be played with just piano, vocal, or piano and guitar. We didn't want all these other production elements to kind of get in the way. We just wanted to enhance the message that was being said through Brian's vocals and lyrics. After the piano and vocals are added, we focused on the drums and bass, and I feel like those elements alone are very telling of an era that a song is made. You can change the drums and make it feel like it's going to be from the 60s, or you can keep it in the lo-fi era of now, and I think that's kind of where we landed. We have some sort of like of a boom-bappy drums that feel organic but are also very sampled sounding. So you can see that we've got the RC20 here on the drums, and that's running into the SSL bus compressor, classic for drum sounds, for full mixes as well. Then we have that running into the decapitator to just give it a little bit of saturation, nothing too much. And you can see I did a roll off on the low end because the kick was just feeling too boomy for this type of song. Also, it's a nice give and take between the kick and the 808. The bass is a mixture of a very short stabby synth bass and then a longer 808 hit right afterwards. a lot of the times I feel like bass is more impactful by the space that it's not filling. You know, you don't always need to have an 808 hitting for the entire bar. I think maybe just pull back a little bit, see how it feels when you're leaving a lot more space for that low end to be missed. So when it comes in, it feels really, really nice. Really nice push and pull. You have that short first half, then the longer long half. So it's honestly like a tension and release in a very, very small amount of time. Moving with the mood of just having weird recordings, I think it's really awesome to just take voice memos from the session that you're in or from other moments in life and start to work them into your actual piece. And this little moment is just some sort of a voice memo sample that I think we captured the day that we were writing this originally. And it ended up becoming this really, really nice texture that doesn't sound like an instrument really as much as just this like additional noise in the track. Yeah, I literally have no idea how we got that, but it's just something that you can think about when you're working on your own songs or your own productions. As I scroll through the track, you can see that this is a very, very simple production. There might be a few different layers from different instruments, but overall we kept it very, very sparse, and I think anybody would tell you that that is the key to things translating well on a mix or your message translating well. I know when I was first starting, I would always get worried that something wasn't happening enough in a track, and I would just add and add, and it was a very maximalist idea. And I think a lot of other people, especially when they're first starting production, kind of fall into this same type of trap. You don't really need that. You'll probably start to feel that, especially the more you play a song over and over and over again, because you've heard it so many times, you know what to expect. But trying to get back to that original feeling of what a listener will be hearing for the first time is a key muscle to try and work. Another thing that I like to do, especially if you're doing the session with an artist there, is not let too many elements take up the space of where vocals can fill in. Doubling Brian's vocals, harmonizing, adding some other chorus elements. You can almost see right here that this is like a cascading element of pieces coming in, so that when we get to the final chorus right here, the vocals are all in and they are really, really big sounding. They're much bigger than the rest of the ensemble. If the entire instrumental felt really, really big, then this chorus would not feel nearly as big in the moment. And that's another thing that you can keep in mind when you're diving into your productions or your songwriting. Where is the juxtaposition between intimate and big? You can do this through reverb or delay. Some elements will have a lot of reverb and delay that will set them further back. Other elements will be really, really present. Or you could think about it in a sense of, honestly, scale. You know, you think about a choir, you think about a lot of people that are in the room, as opposed to the ensemble that's kind of just like a few people. Like there are probably like 4 people in a room if you think about this from an entire band perspective.
I'm missing you a lot. Missing you a lot. Missing you a lot. Missing you a lot. It's only been a little, but I'm missing you a lot. Missing you a lot. Missing you a lot.
Yeah, really, really beautiful having those harmonies in there at that moment, because they don't exist anywhere else. That's another great point to take away from this. When you are doing something that you're like, oh, this moment is crazy, do your best to not have it happen everywhere else. Just have it happen once. The listener can go back and listen to it again because they're like, wow, I can't wait to get to that exact moment. And that was the sentiment behind this final chorus for us. There are these nice harmonies. There's this call and response between different vocalists at this point. There's also Camille Truss doing really a beautiful ad-libs halfway through and adding this really, really great texture. I think just keep that in mind, you know. Special moments are special because they only happen once, maybe a couple times, and that's life. That is records. That is everything that we hold dear. To finish out the track, we go from having this really big choir back down to Brian's solo vocals, and it's this nice roundabout way of getting back to the intimacy that you felt at the very beginning of the track. And I think when you're building out your song, think about where this time needs to be very, very intimate, especially if you're thinking about the lyrical elements of it. And then think about when things can be just a little bit more expansive. They can be jamming out more. They can make the listener feel something, not from what's being said, but just from what's being played. Playing with those two things will keep your production moving really, really nicely throughout the piece, and it'll be thoughtful. It won't just be this plug and play type of feeling throughout the track.
But I'm missing you a lot. If it's out of my hands, why is it still so heavy on the chest? it's only been a little.
We sent this out to be mastered by Nicholas over at Panorama Mastering in Australia. He does a fantastic job. I don't know if I'll ever need anybody else besides him mastering, because he just gets the sound that I want. Once you find that person, whether it's mix, master, production, whatever, you want to hold on to that, because it's one of those things that you feel, those relationships that you build, and you feel understood. And that's kind of why we make music in the first place, is just hoping to be heard and hoping to be understood. The song by Companyon is out everywhere now, so if you dig it, go stream it, go share it. But with that said, I will catch y'all next time.
If it's out of my hands, why is it still so heavy on my chest?